Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about something that people still debate about, and I'm going to voice my opinion on it as well. Now this is going to be a series of its own. I'm still thinking of the name right now, but I already have two videos that will or not really videos because they're audio only, but I have two that will kind of work for this, but I'm just trying to come up with a title right now. I have a few, but I don't know which one to land on. But anyway, today I'm going to be talking about digital downloads, and whether or not all gaming should be moving to digital. Now the thing is, right now on my 3DS, most of my games are downloaded to the console, and I have a 4 gigabyte memory stick. What do you call this? SD drives? No, SD stick. Yeah, there we go. But for some reason, they use blocks instead of just telling you how much you have on there, so it's a little confusing, so I'm not really sure how big each game is, but they're not really that big because I have a lot downloaded, and 4 gigabytes seems like it's more than enough. And then on my PS Vita, I have a 32 gigabyte memory card, and I have probably about 22 games on there, because it depends on what game it is, whether it's a PlayStation game, a PSP game, something like that. If it's a Vita game, they all take up a certain amount of space. So conceivably, you can have like 100 PS1 games, or maybe even more than that, depending on the memory card that you have. And then, moving over to PC, I have a 1 terabyte hard drive, and each game is somewhere around 10 to 20, but 20 is kind of high for a game, gigabytes. So, as you can see there, I also have a lot of space to hold games. So for all three of those, the Vita, the 3DS, and the PC, I almost have all exclusively digital. Now moving on to things like the Wii U, the Xbox One, and the PS4, I buy almost exclusively discs, and there is a very, very good reason for that, because, at least for the Xbox One, there is a 500 gigabyte hard drive. And that's also kind of a lie, because it's more like 350 gigabytes. And there are some games that, even if you get the disc for the game and you install it to your hard drive, it'll take up somewhere between 20 to 30 gigabytes. And that is insane. I mean, it's a disc. You already have the disc. Why do I need 30 gigabytes on top of that? So right now, I have about, let's say, 9 or 10 games for my Xbox One, and I can't have all of them installed at once, which is ridiculous. That basically means that if I want to play all of the games, I'll have to uninstall some of them and then play another one, and then if I want to go play that one again, I have to reinstall it all over again, because the hard drive space is just absolutely terrible. And the one thing you have to give to the PS4 in this case is that you can actually change out the hard drive. I actually tried to find a bigger hard drive for my Xbox One, couldn't find it, and it was really disappointing that I couldn't do that. I'm going to have to buy an external hard drive for it, which for consoles, you don't need external hard drives. You should never have to have that. You should always have the ability to change out the internal hard drive. So I'm going to have like a clunky setup when I buy a terabyte hard drive for my Xbox, and I have to have it just sitting on there. So when it comes to answering the question, I think absolutely in the future, everything should be digital, but for right now, and probably for the next 10 years, I don't think consoles will have that caught up yet. Maybe in the next generation of consoles, we can move all digital because you'll have the hard drive space for it. But for right now, I mean, even for the PS4, which has a much bigger hard drive, you can't do it. You'll eventually run to that point where it's like, oh, I ran out of games that I can install on here. And on PC, I haven't really run into that because, as I mentioned, it's a terabyte, which for the PS4, I've heard you can buy a terabyte hard drive, and that sounds really cool. And then, of course, the Xbox, they come out with an Xbox that has a terabyte hard drive now. So, thank you. I bought the launch Xbox, and I didn't get a terabyte, but it's great that the next wave has a terabyte now. So it's things like that that really annoy me in these practices, because there's no reason why the Xbox should lock up the hard drive and say, oh, you can't take it out of here. There's really no reason for that. It almost seems like some way of being greedy, but I just can't think of how. I don't know what they gain from not letting you buy a hard drive. You'd think they would say, oh, well, if we make hard drives that you can buy later, you'll spend more money. But probably what it is they want you to buy an entire new system for it, which is the reason why I don't use Mac computers, and I stick for PC, because Macs are exactly like that. You can't really change anything about it. And it's also really confusing because the Xbox Slim, and even the original Xbox, well, the original Xbox the original Xbox 360, there are too many of them now, but the original one, you could just pop that hard drive right off the top, and it was extremely simple. And then the Xbox 360 comes out, and it's a little more complicated, but not really. I mean, I've taken apart my PC and swapped out parts. So if you've done stuff like that, all you really have to do for the Xbox 360 Slim is you just pop off the top and then you reach in and pull out a hard drive. That's simple enough to where you could just do that with the Xbox One. But no, for some reason they locked that down. I don't really feel like having to buy a new console every time I want extra hard drive space. So essentially what I'm getting at, I would like a future where everything's digital, but consoles don't quite seem to be there yet. So obviously I would like to hear some feedback on this in the comments and see what everyone else thinks, because it's kind of 50-50 right now when it comes to stuff like this, and I would like to see where the audience is gauged. Because as I mentioned before, PC games somewhere around 10, 15 gigabytes a game, and if you have a terabyte, which a terabyte kind of seems to be the standard now for PCs, unless you want the 240 for the, I don't know what the word is for it, but they don't use the hard disk. They use something else. It's like a digital hard drive. They say it's faster, so a lot of people use it in their gaming PCs, but even then, that's enough hard drive space for a PC game. Which also really confuses me, because I've downloaded World of Warcraft and the Old Republic, and those are MMOs, obviously, and they're only about 20 gigabytes. So there's no reason why an Xbox game that you already own the disc for and you install it, it takes up 30 gigabytes. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Where are they getting that space from? Obviously, you can say textures and stuff like that, but once you already have the disc, that eliminates the need to have the full download. And it's weird because I hear people saying that when you buy the disc and you install it, it's only like 2 gigabytes. That's an absolute lie. I don't know who started saying that. It is not true at all. I had Assassin's Creed on my Xbox that was installed, and I can't remember how many gigabytes it was. It was between 20 and 30, and I looked at my free space, and then when I deleted it, the free space was opened up. So there's no way that each of them is 2 gigabytes, because I've seen it in action. But anyway, that's about all I have to say on this subject. I would like to have digital, but a lot of platforms just aren't ready for it yet. Alright, so if anyone has anything to say about this, there is always the comment section for that. And I'm still trying to think of the name of the series. I don't know if it'll be in every video, but I'm gonna have a playlist like I usually do for my shows. So yeah, it'll have something to do with that. It's taken me a while to think of the name here. Alright, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.